All right, so I'm back at it again. Last night I made some changes to the operating system and I want to show them to you. So I'm just going to run it so that we can make this video more like a show and tell and less about the actual process. All right, so this is again the 86 box with an 8088 running at 4.77 megahertz, a VGA video card, and 256 kilobytes of RAM, and it's the bare minimum, I think. So right away, the operating system is loading, and we get a desktop now. So right off the bat, in the previous videos, the applications started running immediately, but now we have a desktop, and none of the applications are running back. So I noticed that in the previous builds, the kernel applications that were built into the actual operating system, like the task manager, the bouncing animation, the notepad, they were actually running even if you close them off. They remain running in the background as processes in the kernel. And in order to change that behavior and actually have that memory freed up, or maybe not freed up, but because I think the kernel still reserves its own memory space. I'm not 100% sure yet of the memory model of this thing, but to be able to free up the CPU cycles at the very least, and some of the memory for the kernel to reclaim, I I I had to change the entire structure of the scheduler and of the way that the apps run. That also meant that some of the older images um, for the packaging of applications had to change according to Claude. But now everything works. And since now, and I also wanted to be able to run multiple instances. Now that we can um, um, close out applications, the the way that the memory gets allocated also changed. So let's say I have three or four of the same type of applications. They need to have their own memory space allocated for it. So that they don't conflict. So let's see here. So let's use a very obvious example, which is the bounce one. And also one more thing that you need to notice here is that um, now we have a dock. So if I click minimize, the application is minimized and it's running in the background here. So let's see, it's gonna bounce. So if the box is gonna go down like that. So let's see, it should have actually it stopped the animation, huh? Let me see if it stops it. Yeah, so I guess when you minimize it, it stops running the application, or maybe the way this application is built is like that. But now we can have multiple bounces. As you can see here, you can have one, two, three. The scheduler is a little bit weird when it comes to redrawing. As you can see that now the the animations are becoming slower and slower. See, you can have four of these. Yeah, so the time is being split on four. Can I do more? Yeah, I think the what's happening is something with the refresh. There might be bugs in the way that the windows themselves refresh. So I don't know what's going on there. Um, but we can fix that at some point, I think. All right, cool. So we can also load the Minesweeper game from the floppy disk. We can load the hello package. And let me close this out. All right, so now we have some weirdness happening here, but the apps are running. And if I go to the task manager, we can see, oh, the computer is slowing down. poor IBM XT, but it still says CPU is barely utilized. I mean, it is just bouncing stuff, but the fact that uh, there's multitasking involved here on a 4.77 megahertz CPU, it's I think the clock the we're breaking apart an 18.2 hertz clock, so that's not a lot. And the task manager is using 43% of the CPU, 23%. So there's a bunch of bounds stuff. The interesting thing here is that Minesweeper task is not being tracked by the task manager, and the hello task is not. So that's something that I'm gonna have to fix because it's obviously running, but the task manager is only looking at the kernel instances. So that's interesting. Yeah, so that's what I ended up doing last night. The dock, multiple instances of the same program can now run in their own independent memory space, and we now have actually a lot of slots for programs to run. Um, so yeah, so you can see here as soon as one gets clicked on, the other ones kind of freeze. So this is probably as good as it's gonna get. I wonder if a faster machine will behave differently, but for now, and an XT, I think this is pretty good. So we're making some good progress. All right, if you like this kind of stuff, like let me know in the comment what you think and what you think I should build next. I think I'm thinking that I might want to build a word processor, perhaps, or something like that. We'll see.